I'm now speaking for the Hematology Oncology team in CUHK Paediatrics. So actually, our Hematology Oncology team is studying a very focus on a disease known as childhood acute leukemia. Okay, so childhood 白血病 is the most common childhood cancer. Okay, representing 30% of the cancer. Okay, unlike adults, you will see liver cancer, you will see lung cancer, but children not. Okay, the most common is the blood cancer, leukemia. Okay, the incidence of leukemia is about 40 to 50 per million children. Okay, and then in Hong Kong there are 1.1 million pediatric population, so that we will have 60 new cases of leukemia per year. Okay, but when compared to the USA, when compared to China, this number is subtle, right? The standard of care of childhood leukemia has been developed 40 years ago, okay, based on intensive chemotherapy plus stem cell transplantation. And this is the overall survival of leukemia, okay? You can see in the 1960s, it is a deadly disease that no one will survive when the child got a leukemia. But nowadays, okay, the overall survival of childhood leukemia reach 80% or more, okay, in Hong Kong and overseas, okay. So the drugs are not changing, but we have some advancement in the clinical management, okay. We are now actually using the drugs we are tailoring to the patient 40 years ago, but the management is different, okay. So very good outcome, but for some cases, okay, 20% of the leukemia children will relapse, okay. When they are having a relapse, the outcome will become very poor. Usually, the patient will exhibit resistance to chemotherapy, okay, and then the overall survival will fall below 40%. That means we can save 8 children in 10 children, but one of the remaining 2 will die from the disease, okay? So we aim a complete cure of childhood leukemia, okay? So what can we do is rely on research, okay? So the Hemon team, okay, Hematology Oncology team in CUHK Paediatrics actually cover the entire spectrum of research headed by the clinical professor, Professor Lei Jiguang, Chi Kong Lee, which is a very famous clinician, okay, and Dr. Alex Leung. They are taking care some of the clinical research, okay, that how to improve the protocol, to improve the survival of the treatment, okay, and I myself, Kem Tong Leung, actually is taking care of the basic and translational hematology. What is translational? To create something that passes the clinician and do it clinical trial, okay. And this is our current team structure. We have actually over 15 people in our lab, okay, scientific officer, postdoc, PhD, MPhil, research assistant, and we have a data manager, okay, which is very important to manage all the data. And our lab actually is situated in the Tower A of the Children's Hospital, and then my bosses, the clinicians, are situated in the Tower B, okay, they are managing patients, and the samples will be going here, and then the data will be going here, okay? So actually, when you look for pediatric leukemia research in Hong Kong, you have no option. This is the unique, we are the unique team, okay, in Hong Kong that is taking care of childhood leukemia research, okay? So because all the samples will go to our team, okay, patient samples. We have 60 new cases per annum in Hong Kong CUH, okay? And then when I joined the Hematology Oncology team, I start to do patient bone marrow banking, okay, from 2014. And then after 9 years, we have collected over 800, okay, bone marrow samples from the patients at diagnosis, at relapse, during the treatment, okay? And then we house in our liquid nitrogen tank, which is very important. They are viable cells, okay? So you can control the samples and then do functional experiments. You can do genome testing. You can do drug testing, whatever you can think, because they are viable cells. This is represent the most important asset when I mentioned what is being happened in the medical department. Okay, so Dr. Lee actually have some leading role, as I've shown you in the latest slide, in the global childhood leukemia study group. We are not just managing patients in Hong Kong. We are joining international groups in managing childhood leukemia. So when you're looking at our publication, we publish in number 1, number 2 journals in hematology, oncology, blood, leukemia, etc. And we have also a very strong collaborative network that we will occasionally send our students to receive training. Okay, we have the UK partner, the USA partner. St. Jude Children's Hospital is the largest hospital managing childhood leukemia, and we have very strong collaborator in China, and then also in Macau for some of the collaboration. So clinical study, okay, headed by Professor Lee Chi Kong. Okay, so leukemia, despite it is a most common malignancy, but in Hong Kong there are 60 patients only a year. So and the survival is good. When you do something that need to improve the already very good survival, if you do not have a big number of patients, you will, based on Hong Kong cohort, you will never achieve the statistical significance, right? So regarding this, we have joined the National Chinese Childhood Leukemia Study Group, okay, okay, including over 28 hospitals in China, okay? So Dr. Lee is the vice chairman of the study group, okay? So in 2008 study, we recruited 2,200 patients. In 2015 study, we reached 7,000 patients. And then in the currently opening study, open for recruitment, we aim at 9,000 children in China having leukemia. So with this number, so you can see what we are publishing: JAMA Oncology, Lancet Oncology, and Blood. Okay, all are these very number 1 medical journal in the hematology oncology. And we are having some national conferences, okay, to take care of what happened in the study group. So when a student is embarking on clinical research, okay, when Dr. Lee or you have an idea, you need to be involved in patient data collection, okay? For example, we have different management, such as we introduce a second block of chemotherapy to the protocol, and then you will need to do randomization. You need to take the patient data, the patient outcome data, and then all of the associated clinical data. This is one option for you to embark on, is clinical research, okay? Taking a full advantage of the national study, okay? Eventually, we have very good outcome. We have also translational study, okay? As I have mentioned, okay, in our lab, actually, we are having some patients with relapse, okay? And they are resistant to chemotherapy. So what can we do, okay? So back in 2017, my lab in Children's Hospital has developed a drug testing system for the patients. So whenever the patients have a relapse or resistant disease, the clinician will send their bone marrow to our lab, and then we will do a drug profiling for the patient, okay? Usually, we take the patient leukemic cells into the culture plate and then screen for over 50 drugs, FDA-approved drug, I can say, targeted therapy, and then to identify which drug the patients are will likely have benefit, okay? So we return the results in just 3 days to the clinicians, okay? So supposing this is acute leukemia, when the clinician don't know which drug is good for the patient, we will test one drug, then resistant, another drug, and the leukemia will kill the children in 1 to 2 months. You have not the time. This is a acute leukemia. So we return the results in the 72 hours, and then the clinicians actually use the report to tailor specific drug to the patient. This is what we call functional precision medicine. And actually, we are the first group in the world to show this strategy can improve the outcome of children with acute leukemia, okay, which is recently published in this paper, okay? So our plan actually for precision medicine is not the end, okay? We are now linking up the centers in China, okay, aiming to conduct multi-center trial to show this will change the treatment paradigm of childhood leukemia. We want to change the practice, okay? When we meet resistant leukemia or even very high risk, predicted to be high risk, we aim to do something for the patients. We also do basic science research, okay? The precision medicine is something with very immediate impact. And we also do some basic science that is quite remote from the clinical, but the final aim is to translate into clinical trial, okay? So over the years, when I start with my PhD, we studied actually the blood stem cell homing mechanism, okay? And this is actually the major field that my lab is actually spending time on. We develop new therapeutic antibodies and small molecule inhibitors for testing in the mice, okay? And then testing in primates recently, okay? And aim to translate the drugs into a new drugs for human use, okay? We are able to do basic discovery science, and then when we have a new tool, Dr. Lee will arrange clinical trial testing, and the drugs will be there, okay? Functional genomics of childhood leukemia, as I mentioned, precision medicine. We are also interested in the immunology of childhood leukemia, okay? And development of what we call a chimeric antigen receptor T cells. I don't know whether you have heard this drug, okay? A living drug is a cell, okay? CAR T cells, okay? Maybe some of you have listened to my lecture previously, okay? So this is the most powerful drug, but we still have some unmet need. So we are aiming at improve the current CAR T cells, okay? With some laboratory findings. Also, we are interested in identify how the stem cell is home to the bone marrow, okay? When you are doing a stem cell transplant, you infuse your stem cells to the blood vessel, and then their home is the marrow, okay? So how the stem cell migrate to the bone marrow is our key interest, because the leukemia is also residing in the marrow. So with these implications, we can develop some strategy and antagonize this process and eventually become drugs of leukemia, okay? So this is the overview, okay? If you are interested, okay, we have some leukemia survivors, okay, very happily, and then you are interested, you are able to join our team and work for the kid, okay? This is the logo for the International Society of Pediatric Oncology. No child should die of cancer. Cure for more, care for all, okay? I like this slogan very much. And if you are interested, okay, in exactly in more detail what our team is doing, just visit our department website, click the Pediatric Hematology Oncology team, and there will be a listing, a description of what we are doing. And then these are the contacts of our 3 principal investigators, okay? So with this, I'll stop here, and then we will move to our next speaker.